Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Zach Posner. I'm a co-founder and managing partner at the LegalTech Fund, and we are thrilled to have one of our portfolio companies here today, and that's Ted from Infodash. Ted, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us.
Thanks for having me, ZP. Anybody call you ZP or ZPOS?
I get it all.
They do now.
Yeah, they do now. Exactly. All right. Before we jump in, we always try to do some fun stuff to learn a little about you. If you weren't in legal tech, what would you be doing? What industry or what role would you be passionate about?
Wow. So I'm a tech guy at my core. This whole thing started from I used to work at Microsoft and started consulting on the side. So it would be something tech related. After Microsoft, I went to Bank of America for 10 years and I did anti money laundering work. So I was in what they call AML. And I would probably do something. There are some really interesting use cases with taking AI and detecting money laundering activity. All the stuff that we used to have to build models around could be automated. I would probably do something in fintech, man. There'd be some really interesting
On,
angles there.
on the good guy side or on the bad guy side?
On the good guy side,
I'm kidding.
on the good guy side, man.
Um, give us a surprising fact about you. I've gotten to know you over the past couple of years, but what's something I don't even know is something that people listening wouldn't know.
One thing that's interesting. I'm a high school dropout. I never graduated high school.
I did not know that.
Yeah, man. I got my GED and my mom owned a restaurant. And when I quit school, she put me to work in the restaurant and gave me the worst jobs humanly possible. And I like begged to find a way back to school. So I went to community college for a couple years, got straight A's, ended up getting into UNC Chapel Hill, got a degree in math, and then later an MBA. But yeah, man, high school dropout.
I was saying now you even teach. Do you do some teaching?
No, I don't do any
Yeah.
teaching. No.
Okay, I thought for
Yeah.
some reason I thought we were talking about that in our last podcast. But and then final question for you: if you could be anywhere in the world right now, no restrictions, where would you be?
That is a great question. So I really like the US. I've had lots of opportunities to travel abroad. I like traveling abroad for real short periods of time. Man, I'm a fan of Austin, Texas. If I had to live in another place, and yeah, that's right, Summit's
I
going there.
thought you were setting that up for us.
No,
So we're giving you an excuse to go to your dream place in November for our summit.
yeah, it's like the new Silicon Valley. There's a lot of tech activity there, and it's very artsy, but it's a bit of a microcosm in the state of Texas in a cool way. And I love barbecue. I live in St. Louis. They have the best barbecue in Austin in the world, in my opinion.
Barbecue, music, all the fun stuff. But maybe into that jumping over to that last point on the tech community and the tech world. Maybe give us a little bit of the story of Infodash. How did you get? When did this get started? How did it get started? Why did it get started? A little bit of that shape.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I started moonlighting when I was at Microsoft, and even after I left, while I was at B of A, I had a massive client, just one. It was Maersk Sealand. They're like the 800-pound gorilla in the shipping world, and I built a system for them that managed all their stevedoring billing, which was about a $5 billion a year system. And I became real important to them real quick. And when I started making more on the side gig than I was at the day job. So I quit. And before I did, though, I asked them, I was like, hey, can you guys keep me busy for a little while I, get some additional clients? And they said, hell yeah, here we have a mobile project. And this is in 2010. This is when we were doing industrial handheld development on Windows CE. And then we just fell down the legal rabbit hole early. So this was like 08, 09 ish. And we started building intranets and extranets for law firms bespoke. And then we partnered with a company in the mid 2010s. I won't say their name, but they no longer really exist. And we got in and looked at what they had, and I wasn't impressed. So a big company bought them in legal tech, and they just kind of started to tank. And so
Sure.
we decided to build Infodash, and yeah, we quickly realized on the extranet front too, there had been no innovation in that space because again, another behemoth bought the dominant player and just took a knee. So we're doing great, man. We're kicking butt, and it's a lot of
And
fun.
maybe what's the core product offerings now? A little bit of that.
Yeah. So I hate the terms intranet and extranet. They sound so like portal, like it sounds so dated, and it is. The reason we still use them is because people know what they mean. But we're really a digital workplace solution, which sounds much better, and it's much more sophisticated. Like people used to go to an intranet to, look at the lunch menu or figure out how to submit a PTO request. I mean, we're doing all sorts of stuff with AI and Azure AI search and exposing capabilities externally to law firm clients. So, the term intranet and extranet really doesn't fit, but again, we use it because people know what it means.
And maybe your relationship with Microsoft and working with them for a long time and thinking about like I know you guys seamlessly do some things with SharePoint and such. Is that just critical in this space?
It is, law firms are Microsoft junkies. I mean, lawyers live in Outlook and Word, and I don't know of one AM law firm that isn't a Microsoft 365 customer. There may be one, but I know the space pretty well, and I haven't seen any. So they're all in on Microsoft, and they're laggards. Law firms are laggards. Historically, they've been. So they're just now moving to the cloud, let's say in the last 2 or 3 years, where other industries did this 7, 8, 10 years ago. So that has put a lot of wind at our back in terms of all these customers that are moving from on-prem to SharePoint Online and Teams. They now need a solution, and we were born in the cloud, and that's the only place where our solution runs.
And just on a side note, do you think that Microsoft dominance stays for years to come? Like in every other vertical, you've seen Google and their suite really like make some headway, and like you really, I mean, especially with the big firms, you have not seen any of that in legal. Do you think that changes, or do you think?
I don't. Yeah, I really don't because the Google model is web first. It's web only, right? And you're
Yeah.
never going to pry the desktop versions of Word, which is where legal work product happens, and Outlook, which that's how lawyers communicate with their clients. You're never going to pry that out of their hands. And in the legal tech ecosystem, there's so many add-ins and dependencies to those platforms that it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Um, when I guess on that, historically, law firms have a reputation for being laggers when it comes to digital adoption. Um, what do you think? You guys thinking about the next generation of what these sets of tools look like? Are you seeing what's driving that? Are you seeing different characteristics? Are you seeing how you? What do you think is driving some of this stuff?
Well, so yeah, law firms have been laggards for a number of reasons. One, capital investment with law firms is a challenge. It's a partnership model, so that it's consensus driven decision making. You've got lateral movement where partners can pick up and take a book of business to a law firm down the street. You've got retirement horizons and on XComs where a 5-year break even on a project, which isn't extreme, and you got several people in there that are retiring in 3 years. Why are they going to pony up and invest long term? I've heard big law referred to as like hotel for lawyers. It's like there's a lot of lateral movement, and so I think there's been some challenges. That's one challenge. Another challenge is OCGs from clients. Clients have held firms back from being in the cloud, even though in most scenarios, I would rather have Microsoft securing my information than my law firm,
Yeah.
IT team. But logic didn't prevail in that, and OCGs held clients back. Held law firms back from moving to the cloud for many years.
Yeah. When when you think about things like analytics and how you guys are thinking about integrating in with lots of different products, like maybe help paint a picture of what you think the future looks like for you guys.
Analytics. So I just got updated. We deploy our solution in the client's M365 and Azure tenant.
Okay.
So we have limited visibility, but we do have some numbers, and I just got some this morning from our CTO. So we've been in business a little over 3 years. We have, I think, around it's in the mid 40s now, AmLaw clients. So we have almost a quarter of the AmLaw in 3 years and 2 months. But we have the latest stats: 2.5 million page views a month, 1.5 million searches a month, 7.2 million web parts. So we build like custom web parts for SharePoint Online that you can host in Teams. 7.2 million web part renders a month, and then 5.5 million firm directory and profile interactions. So we build a very robust firm directory that enriches from a number of data systems like HRIS, practice management, it could be CRM, and build like attorney profiles. So if you're at Kirkland and you've got 6,000 lawyers and you need to find an attorney who's admitted to the California bar, who focuses on IP, speaks Spanish, and is a notary, you can go in and find that person instantly through our firm directory. So, yeah, we're seeing a lot of traction.
Now, 3 years when you built V1 of the product, you were just ahead of all this AI stuff that came out, which I think really was core end of 22. Um, Curious if you think that Gen AI plays a impactful role into what you guys are doing in the next couple of years or not.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting question because on the surface you would think not, but when you dig a little deeper, there's some interesting angles with it. So we deployed, and there's a case study on this, so I'm allowed to say the firm's name. Finnegan, they're an IP attorney, or I'm sorry, an IP law firm. They created bots they started with policies. So all of their policies, like their remote work policy, pay time off policy, sexual harassment policy, some were in PDF, some were in wiki pages, some were in Word documents, and they had us crawl and index through Azure AI Search all those data stores, and then create a bot on their intranet where you can go in and say, "Hey, what's the laptop reimbursement policy, for the Boston office or whatever." So that's an interesting like internal facing use case, and then externally, we are now with our extranet that just launched a few weeks ago. We are having clients who are bringing to the table scenarios like we have a Canadian firm who they have all of this legal research that they've compiled internally about how the legal process works in all the provinces, and they expose this to their clients through this big custom developed solution. So they're going to use our tool and Azure AI Search to crawl and index that, and then expose a natural language interface for their clients to ask questions about the data. So interesting angles.
Yeah, let's stick on that extranet because I know you guys just released something. We haven't seen much innovation in the last couple of years on that side. What I think you used the word unified collaboration on
Yeah.
your website. What does that mean? Like, what is the vision there?
Yeah. So historically, intranets and extranets have been separate things because intranets were internal facing. That's where the intra comes from. They were behind a firewall, and extranets were external facing. So, like HiQ is the dominant player in that space, and they have a cloud hosted solution. And it made sense for those things to be separate. But at the end of the day, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a comms mechanism. You're communicating information and exposing capabilities. So we are bringing intranet and extranet together. So you have just one management interface. You have one system to license, and you don't have to have separate skill sets managing these different tools.
Awesome. Just as we kind of get close to our time here, curious, like just being an entrepreneur in this vertical for a little bit, if you have advice to other early stage entrepreneurs or big learnings that you've had, what would some of that stuff be?
Wow. Yeah. So I see a lot of, especially with Gen AI, so many young founders coming into the space, and in the beginning, we really had to eat table scraps, to claw our way into the AmLaw ranks. It took time. And, if you go to New York and start soliciting AmLaw firms in New York, they don't want to know what AmLaw firms you do business with. They want to know what AmLaw firms you do business with in New York, right? So it's very much a long game that you have to play, and it's a relationship driven business. So we're doing 13 conferences this year, and I speak at probably half of them. So getting a lot of FaceTime. I host a podcast, because you were on it. You have to build trust, and you need social proof. And law firms are very reluctant to let you write case studies with their names on it. So you have to get creative on how you build your brand. And I think the founder led model is compelling. Get out there and speak, shake hands at conferences.
Yeah.
I used to do a ton of in-person roadshows, like pre-COVID. Those were very effective. People look you in the eye, shake your hand. You earn their trust over time, and then the business comes.
Awesome. If we were in person, I'd look you in the eye and shake your hand and say thank you for coming on. For the people listening today, for the folks that'll be listening in the future, any ask you have, and then also how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So anybody who's listening who wants to think about legal collaboration differently, I would encourage you to check us out. It's, there's been very little innovation in the space, and people probably have a picture in their mind when they think what that even means. And we're bringing some really new dimensions to that conversation. So if you want to collaborate with clients differently, law firms, they've been laggards as well on how, like, the client engagement model. Like, law firms don't even typically share financial data with their customers other than a monthly invoice, right? So, we're exposing capabilities where, we integrate with BI systems like Big Hand, Big Square, and you can provide analytics to your customers and make the relationship more sticky. You can expose other internal data sources like that Canadian firm I mentioned, and create stronger relationships with your clients that's going to lead to better retention and less churn. And let's face it, man, the world is changing. I think there's going to be a reshuffling of the deck in the AmLaw as Gen AI. I see two types of firms. I see firms that are all in, and I see firms that are playing it safe. And the ones that are going all in are going to come out. And I think this revolution is going to happen slowly, then fast, right? Slowly, then suddenly. And when that tipping point hits, the firms that have doubled down on things like innovation and thinking about how they engage their clients differently, I think they're gonna come out ahead. So if people want to find out more, it's the URL is getinfodash.com. And then check out my podcast, Legal Innovation Spotlight. We're about 70 episodes in at this point. We've recorded, and we've had heavy hitters. We had you, right? So
but yes,
that was
other heavy hitters.
That was a great episode, by the way. That one.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. I thank you for spending some time with us, and would encourage everybody to check out the work you guys are doing because it's pretty awesome. We're thrilled to have you as part of the portfolio, and looking forward to many more of these podcasts together.
Appreciate it, Zach.
Thanks, Ted.
All right.